All right, so Code of Princess for the 3DS. This is, if not the version that came out first and one of the earliest versions. I was surprised when I saw that this game is also available now on the Switch and on PC. And what you have here is an anime style 2D fighter slash beat 'em up. Really short stages, which I really enjoyed. You can move through the plot and the dialogue fairly quickly, so it gets you into the action. The combat at first started out a little bit slow. I guess I can explain how the combat is. You've got your cast of characters. You're typically playing as the princess throughout the main campaign, and she's got a great sword. And unfortunately, I'm not familiar with a lot of types of games like this. It's not usually a genre I get into. I just happened to boot it up on the 3DS one day because I saw it was a 3-hour title, and I said, "Oh, it's perfect for right now." And it is a lot of fun. It becomes more fun the more that you play. Starts out with very simple attacks and fairly slow combos. Feels a little bit sluggish, but again, thankfully, because the levels are slow, it moves you along the game very quickly. And every time you beat a level, you get EXP. You get to distribute your points through your HP, attack, defense, magic attack, mana, and speed. And I'll come back to that because that's a really important one for making the game more fun. Every time you beat a level in the campaign, you also unlock a new character. And one thing that's great about this game for replayability is you can replay every campaign level as a different character that you unlock. And it ends up being something like 50 characters. Now, half of them end up being jokes and basically reskins of the same weak archetype, but about half of them have unique move sets and combo abilities. Combos are just like BB down forward, right? Or jump AA, right? Very simple. There's only a handful per character. But the fact that you have so many characters makes it fun. So, for example, you got the princess with her greatsword. The next character you meet is kind of like a ninja, and every time you get airborne, you can drop bombs on the screen. There's magic users as well. So that's where some of the variety of the play styles comes in. But what's really interesting is the game goes from feeling sluggish and a little bit laggy to really fast and like an overpowered feeling as you increase that speed stat. I've never seen this in the game, but upgrading your speed increases your animation speed. So let's say like your swing takes 1 second. I'm putting 50 points into my speed, and now it's like half a second for my swing. I've never seen it. Really fun to mess around with though. So after a while of like a few, let's say 10 missions of trying to level up my princess with balanced stat allocation, I just thought, I don't know, I'm not really feeling my character changing at all. And I looked up online what speed does. I started dumping all of my points from then on into attack and speed. And the character was like zipping around, really powerful. Bit of a glass cannon, but still a lot of fun to play with. So, I mean, overall, like I don't want to overhype the game. You know, it's got a lot of anime tropes that don't work in its favor. Don't go into it expecting a lot of immersion. I mean, you're going to get this one jester character who's like wearing tights, and you know he's a little bit of the joking womanizer who every time he speaks it's like, okay, yeah, it's a bit of a joke game, fine. But there's some funny moments within that same kind of dialogue as well. For example, the princess main character, she's got a really skimpy outfit, and when she meets her brother's like, "What are you doing wearing that out of the castle?" And she's like, "Oh, you know, it's the latest fashion, like this is high fashion, what do you want?" So some of that I actually got a few good chuckles out of. But overall, like with the gameplay and what it is, for me, it's about a 6 out of 10. However, if you're a little bit of a completionist, if you like these kinds of games, I could easily see it being like a 7 or an 8. Again, the replayability, going back to the campaign missions, and even though I beat the game, I still every now and then boot it back up because there are bonus side missions that as you beat the main campaign, these unlock in between as well. And these ones you can also revisit with any character of your choosing. So I've tried out probably 10 characters, right? And one of them was even just like a barmaid. So you've got a barmaid who has no special abilities, and she's basically just doing weak little punches and weak little kicks. But it's funny, you know?
Yeah.
The game's got a lot of personality, I guess.
It looks like you can play this co-op. Do you ever do that?
I saw the multiplayer. You can also do online, so I'm guessing that has some PvP, but I did not get to explore any of that. I'm sure, I don't know, maybe the Steam version or the Switch version are cross-platform, and maybe there's some online players.
Oh, is this on Steam?
Yeah, so right now on
Yeah.
Steam, we also have the Code of Princess EX. So I did not play that. They probably cleaned up the graphics. They probably got rid of some of the lag. Like when I had 20 characters on the screen, it would start to lag a little bit. So I'm sure none of that exists with the EX version.
Yeah, Nicholas, the company Nicholas published this on like Switch and stuff. I actually have that version and I've played it. Fun fact: this is actually a spiritual successor to the Sega Saturn game Guardian Heroes. So
Ooh.
there's a little fun fact for you. But yeah, I have played a little bit of this on Switch. I haven't delved into it too much. I mainly picked it up because I don't know, it looked cool, and also I played the Nicholas crossover fighting game Blade Strangers. It has a bunch of indie characters and stuff in it, and the princess in this game is also in it. So I was like, come on, try her game out, and I picked it up, and I probably played it for like an hour maybe.
Yeah.
It looked cool though.
Well, I think a lot of these games they're gonna suffer as long as they don't feel fun, or people might jump into it and they go, "Yeah, it's okay, but this character feels a little bit sluggish. Oh, the ninja's really cool. They move a little bit faster." And so that's where upgrading the speed stat to shorten those animation times really makes a difference in how the game feels, making it way more fun. And also, there's equipment, weapon slot, let's say a bangle, and a this and a that, right? And there's a surprising amount of detail and customization with the equipment as well. I like that some of them are plus to some stats, minus to other stats. Let's say if I play the same level a few times and I always drop a fire bangle as the loot, the fire bangles are rolling for like a bit of a random stat every time. So it's interesting how even getting the same piece of equipment twice, you may select one over the other because one gives +3, the other gives +2. Plus, there's tons of effects. So on the few times that I did get stonewalled by a couple of opponents, I just went in my inventory. I looked for something there that could help me. And, oh, I actually have an item that gives me plus damage versus armored opponents. So if I got stuck versus another knight, oh, well, he's armored. Oh, sick. Now I'm doing like double damage to him. So like I said, there's a lot of thoughtfulness that went into this game. It's pretty deceiving when you get into it and you might be lulled by the anime stuff going on, but it's got a decent amount of depth.
I always thought there was definitely a market for like a hardcore RPG beat 'em up, and I don't know that anyone's ever really like nailed it. Like I've seen
I would say
attempts
this
at it.
doesn't nail it, but it's decent. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, I was
Yakuza. Yeah.
Yeah.
that ain't
Hmm.
it. I mean more like a classic like this or like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style like side scrolling ish beat 'em up.
Like a 2D beat 'em up. Okay.
But that like also had like a lot of hardcore RPG elements in it. And I've seen a couple of them try like this, like Dragon's Crown, which is
Oh yeah.
some cool.
Oh my god, that artwork in Dragon's Crown is. Oh.
They should have a one-handed mode for that game.
Dude, I didn't even know that company Vanillaware, whatever the fuck their name is. I know they still made games until everyone was like, "Did you play
Unicorn
Unicorn?
Overlord.
Whatever." Yeah, I was like, "What the? I didn't know this was happening."
I think they do make about a game every other year or so. Yeah. It's not that bad. Not that
Yeah,
slow.
the last game I saw from them was that Odin Sphere remake, and before that, it was that Muramasa game. So it was like I didn't know they were still around. They're like Unicorn game. I was like, "What?"
You know, Spencer, what's interesting about this game with its leaning into a JRPG is you feel like if you had to build off an existing game, this is really close. Because all they would have to do is decorate some of the list style menus. Like when you do your mission select, for example, it's just there in a list. You just scroll down, select, okay, I'm going to do like mission 12. And if you just change the presentation to be more of a storyboard or something that moves you along a little bit, towns or whatever that you can walk in and out of, all of a sudden you have a JRPG beat 'em up. And it would work really well for this type of game.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the struggles with that concept though too is that holds it back is that everyone wants to play those co-op, and playing like a really
Yeah.
long RPG co-op is a tough ask.
Not.
Well, are you
Yeah,
guys familiar with
there's a
this?
lot of
Because I
those,
couldn't
like-
believe the mission length. Like, imagine beating some missions and it's just your first pass through them and you're done in 40 seconds. And then
Oh
the
my God.
dialogue to move to the next one and you get a save point. your dialogue to move to the next one is only like 20 to 30 seconds. It was awesome.
Nice. I remember this being like an early 3DS title too. And people talking about it, because when the 3DS first came out, there really wasn't a lot going on on that console.
Yeah.
So I remember this being a talking point for a little bit.
Yeah, I remember seeing this and I was like, it looks kind of cool, but I feel like if my girlfriend saw me playing this, I would get in big time trouble.
No, she's not naked.
You know what? At least it recognizes how absurd it is, and so they do some self-referencing with the clothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of the jokes are actually pretty funny. Every now and then, like just little things, like one of the characters and the pervy jester, they have a bit of a bro moment, being surrounded by all the other ladies in the party. Little stuff like that. That's just realistic banter, right?
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You know how on Switch you can make like game folders and stuff now?
Yeah.
I have a game folder on Switch just called Weeb Shit, and you better believe this is in there.
Oh yeah, it is. It 100% is.
It's like in there with like the other weeb shit that I had, like the Senran Kagura games and stuff like that. Just garbage. Neptunia. It's just and there with the weeb shit.
It is interesting that these Japanese developers go this direction. I mean, clearly, like, they just wanted it to be lighthearted. But again, that jester character, when he walked in, so his weapon is an electric guitar. It was like, what are we doing here, guys? We had a fantasy set up. There's a little bit of, magic in this fantasy realm, but it all made sense. Okay, fine. The main character is a little skimpy. That's fine. Great swords, shields, helmets, ninjas. That all works. And then this guy walks in, green and purple, and an electric guitar. I'm done. All right. I guess I can't.
It's supposed
I'm
to be
not
like
supposed
the
to take
bard,
this seriously.
right?
Yeah. Well, then,
It's
yeah,
just-
there's a funny running joke that he's not actually a bard. He is. Someone in the party like needed to recruit a sage, and so he's like, "I'm a sage." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm a level 98 sage. I'm almost there for you guys." I think people will enjoy it, but again, don't set your expectations too high. Play it for something lighthearted. Half an hour here, half an hour there, and I think it'll be enjoyable.